Hey gamers, it's G from the corner, and today we're going to be talking about Pokemon Legends ZA Mega Dimension. That's right, the Pokemon DLC gets its own review on the corner. I actually wasn't really into Game Freak's previous attempts at DLC for mainline Pokemon. I never bought the Sword and Shield DLC because it looked unappealing, and I bought the Scarlet and Violet DLC almost a year after the fact. But both just kind of felt like more of the same, and both Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield were games I liked, but didn't really need that much more of, whereas Legends ZA was a game that I played the crap out of when it came out just, 2 months ago. In fact, I really only put the game down about 3 weeks ago now. I beat the game, I did the main post-game quests, and completed the Pokedex, which, fun fact, despite how big of a fan of this Pokemon series I am, I have never actually done in a mainline game. But unfortunately, that completion status couldn't last, as I have purchased the DLC and now there are about 100 more Pokemon I still need to catch. I mean, I'm sure I'll complete the dex again. Honestly, Mega Dimension has been very, very fulfilling so far. Do I think it's worth the price? Really, it depends on who you ask. It's a $30 expansion, and for that price, you are getting a ton of new side quests, a whole new campaign, basically. It's about, I want to say maybe 2/3 of the length of the main campaign in the base game, and basically an entirely new way to experience the content of the game. With the previous DLC Game Freak release, they were kind of just these new open areas with wild Pokemon you could catch, whereas this time, Game Freak has gone and changed the way you are engaging with the game completely. Essentially, the main kind of mechanic of this game is these little hyperspace portals that take you to these parallel versions of Lumiose. They're essentially, I think about 6 different kinds of layouts you can get with a bunch of different Pokemon. You are given a set of objectives, go, you have a limited amount of time, and the Pokemon in the area are very, very strong. In fact, they are over level 100, which is not possible. They have Game Shark going on. But don't worry, with the power of Hoopa's Donuts, you too can use Game Shark and upgrade the levels of your Pokemon. I think another cool thing about this DLC is that they kind of expect you to have done everything in the game already. You will very much struggle with this DLC if your Pokemon are not at level 90 to 100, which is kind of insane. Game Freak hasn't really done that with any sort of Pokemon post-game before, so kudos to them for expecting a lot out of the player this time. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean it's hard to get there. There's plenty of EXP candies all over the game and in the DLC as you progress. I'm going to be honest, it's kind of weird that they expect you to be so high leveled, but then every once in a while they'll make you do a battle in regular Lumiose and everybody will just be at level 70 and it's dude, I'm going to mop the floor with you guys without even breaking a sweat. It's kind of odd, but again, the real challenge here are these hyperspace dimensions. They can either contain side quests, wild zones, and battle zones. Essentially, when you make a donut with Hoopa, it'll allow you to access one of these areas, and the donut you make will determine how long you can stay in and how much more powered up your Pokemon are. It's really funny. They have this, I think it's an EV chart. It's supposed to be an EV chart, but they've replaced all the stats with different kind of descriptors of the donuts. Instead of speed, you've got sweet, there's savory, sour. It's really cute. It's really cute. Each of these areas obviously contains new Pokemon that weren't in the base game. A lot of Pokemon from games beyond X and Y. I think that was something that was really cool to see. Legends Arceus kept the dex pretty much entirely to Pokemon that debuted in Sinnoh or earlier, with the exception of the ones that got Hisuian forms, and ZA kind of did the same thing, but with the sole exception of the Megas from Gen 7 and 8. The DLC, on the other hand, is no holds barred. You're in the Hyper Dimension, we can bring whatever Pokemon we want here. Pokemon that are specific regional variants made for Gen 7 and 8, they're here. There's some Hisuian Pokemon here. There's plenty of Pokemon from Gen 9 here. 4 Generation 9 Pokemon got Mega Evolutions, and they are all very, very cool. I think the Megas in the DLC might honestly be better than the ones in the base game. I'm not sure. I really like a lot of the Megas. I really got to do a ranking video on all these Megas at some point, but yeah, no, they definitely cooked here. There's some really cool designs. I'm not going to spoil them all. I'm sure there are some that are going to get caught in the footage here, but there are some really stellar ones here. I think the biggest thing that's going to determine whether or not you're interested in picking up this DLC is probably the actual method of progression. You're going to be going to these hyperspace dimensions a lot, and you're going to be doing a lot of the same things. Essentially, the DLC progresses somewhat like the base game, whereas in the base game, you would do these battle zones and get points to kind of level up your rank, and then you do rank challenges, and there'd be, plot stuff and big quests in between. The DLC has you getting research points by going into these hyperspace dimensions. You basically are only only doing this though. You'll go into a hyperspace dimension, you'll get some points, and you'll go to a few more to get enough points to meet the threshold. Then you'll go fight a rogue mega evolution, rinse and repeat about 6 times, but then there's even a few more beyond that in the post game. That's another thing. There's also a lot of post game in this DLC. You know, I mentioned there's a bunch of side quests, but there's also a lot of legendaries and mythical Pokemon you could catch for whatever reason. I wasn't really expecting that. The base game was very lacking in it, but the original X and Y was very lacking in legendaries to catch. They literally had to put in 4 legendaries from the original Gen 1 games just to make it seem like there was something worth grabbing. The DLC definitely has a lot more though, some that even get mega evolutions. Ooh, there's some really cool ones there. Yeah, again, I really like the DLC simply because I really like Legend ZA, and this is more Legend ZA. But if you are kind of like done with ZA, or if you were hoping that this DLC was going to be more of a revolution of the base gameplay, which, you know, it is to some extent, but once you've seen what they have in store for you, you kind of have to just take it or leave it, because if you don't like it, you're not going to like the rest of the DLC. It's all this. You go to a wild area, you break some Pokeball balloons, you catch some Pokemon, you go to a battle area, you do some battles. Like, literally, the objectives in the battle zones are mostly just win battles. Like, I swear, half of them were literally just win 5 battles, win 10 battles, win 15 battles. Like, that was it. There's a few side quests as well, and some, like, just straight up mega Pokemon encounters where you beat them and you get a stone. But, like, what you see is what you get. I thought it was really cool to bring back Korrina, the 3rd gym leader from Pokemon X and Y, who kind of had some important plot significance with Mega Evolution. I thought it was really cool bringing her back in a different role and gave us an excuse to hear the X and Y gym battle theme. And, you know, having the Hoenn legendaries in the post game as well was super sick. But, like, I don't know, it was cute. It got the job done. You know, they brought back a bunch of Pokemon. They made some new Megas. Like, it's what you expect. But I think it's a little bit better. It's also very odd, obviously, that this came out right after the game did. Pokemon Legends ZA has just now been out for 2 months, and this DLC is already here, and I'm already sitting down doing a review of it. Like, this was really, really soon, and I can only imagine it was because this game was probably internally delayed quite a bit, and so the DLC development timeline kind of, like, wrapped up alongside the base game. Like, they've probably been sitting on both of these since the start of the year or something, and they were like, okay, it's time to release the stuff. Let's just drop it all now because we're gonna start marketing Gen 10 as early as February, which, yeah, that's coming up. I'll probably be talking about Gen 10 in a few months, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, Legends ZA and the Mega Dimension, I think they're pretty great. I really wouldn't recommend buying this until you have already beaten ZA, though. If you still have more that you want to do in Legends ZA, don't bother with this. This is just for people who really, really want more of the game, like me, who thought the game was amazing, and would be down to have another, like, 20 hours of gameplay. But if it doesn't look appealing to you, or you're still chipping away at the base game, I'd say hold off on it. Keep yourselves cornered for more on Pokemon, Nintendo, and other things gaming, and I will see you all on the next one.